What's up, sports fans? This is the Lucas Ross Sports Channel, and it's time to give you another Top 10 countdown video for you on this Lucas Ross Sports Channel. And it is time to give you the top 10 college football teams that have a chance to go undefeated in the 2023 college football season. Basically, how this top 10 is going to work, we're going to give you the top 10 teams that have the really best shot to go undefeated. And the percentages are going to be based off of me. It's not based off of, other percentages like the FBI, for example. It's based off of my percentages for that team to go undefeated. And these are my top 10 best teams here on this list that have a really good shot to go undefeated. Not saying they're going to, but these are just some of these teams' best shots to go undefeated this season. And we know it's hard to go undefeated in college football. You just never know what can happen during the regular season. But this is also just based off of how the team finished, from last year as well. So these are my top 10 teams. And you probably won't agree with this list, or maybe not, but let's go right into it here with my top 10 teams that really could go undefeated for the 2023 college football season. And let's start with number 10. We'll start with Notre Dame. Notre Dame, I think, has a 1% chance to go undefeated in 2023. They went 9-4 last year. They don't really have a good shot to go undefeated, in my opinion. I gave them about a 1% chance. But, the reason why I picked them to go on this list is just because of all the hype they're getting. Sam Hartman coming in maybe helps that offense out for Notre Dame. And, the offense last year could have been a lot better, but they got better down the stretch there later part in the season. I think this could be a really good Notre Dame team this season. But the reason why their percentage is so low for them is because of the schedule. They do have to play Ohio State on the schedule. They also have to play Clemson on the schedule. So that's the reason why Notre Dame, I think, has only 1% chance to go undefeated in 2023. And based off of their record from last year, they went 9-4. But this should be really a great Notre Dame team. I think they'll be really good this season. I'm not saying they're going to be probably a playoff contender, perhaps, but they have a 1% chance to maybe go undefeated in 2023. Number 9 is Tennessee. Tennessee, I think, with a 5% chance to go undefeated. They went 11-2 overall last year. They were undefeated heading into that Georgia game, and, people did not expect Tennessee to be undefeated by that point. They thought they would probably lose to Alabama. I mean, some people thought they would lose, maybe to Florida as well. But Tennessee really proved a lot of people wrong from last year. This is a team that, I think has not a really good chance to go undefeated, but they do have a 5% chance to go undefeated to me. But, they went 11-2 last year. And, they got that high-powered offense. They're going to be a lot different this year, though. Of course, they're going to have a new quarterback. They do lose Hendon Hooker, Jalen Hyatt, Cedric Tillman. They do lose a lot of talent, but they do bring back Brew McCoy at wide receiver. He's probably going to be one of their top wide receivers heading into 2023. But I think, according to me, though, Tennessee only has a 5% chance to go undefeated. They still have to get through the SEC East and obviously get through the SEC West with Alabama. They do play Alabama and Texas A&M out of the West this year, so that makes the schedule a little bit tougher for Tennessee. But they do get Texas A&M at home. They have to play in Tuscaloosa against Alabama on the road. So that's my number 9 team, Tennessee, with a 5% chance to go undefeated in 2023. Number 8 is Clemson. Clemson, I just talked about them a while ago. They have a 10% chance to go undefeated, in my opinion. I know Clemson should be a little bit lower on this list. They should have been number 10, but Clemson's probably got the more talented roster than Notre Dame and obviously Tennessee. But I know Tennessee beat Clemson last year in the bowl game. 11-3 overall is just not going to get it done for Clemson. But, I think as of right now, I could still call them a chance to go undefeated because in the ACC, it's obviously, a conference that's really tough to predict every single year. But Clemson, obviously, I think is the top team as of right now. They won it all last year in the ACC, but there are other teams now out there in the ACC that could really challenge Clemson, like, for example, Florida State, North Carolina, perhaps, and NC State. There's just a lot of teams that can challenge Clemson now. The Clemson offense has not been good now in the last couple years. It was kind of an up and down year for them in 2022. I think they were kind of a big disappointment, though. But, I think Clemson, as of right now, has a 10% chance to go undefeated. I'm not saying they're going to go undefeated because this percentage is not high for them at all. So Clemson, their percentage is not high at all for me here in this. The reason why I put Clemson ahead of Tennessee is because Clemson plays in the ACC, and Tennessee plays in the toughest conference in the world, and that's the SEC. So I think that's why Clemson should be ahead of Tennessee as of right now. But Clemson, a 10% chance to go undefeated in my percentage. Let's go now to number 7. Number 7 is Washington. Washington, I think, has a 15% chance to go undefeated in 2023. This is a team that's coming off an 11-2 record from last year. And with them coming into this season, they do have a ton of experience on both sides of the ball. And that's what makes them get on this top 10 countdown, is because of the experience they have on both sides of the ball. But Washington does have a tough non-conference game against Michigan State, but, they could probably win that game. You never know. It is a road game for them. But, Washington, I think, has the best chance to go undefeated. You're not going to see them the only Pac-12 team on this top 10 list, but you're not going to see Oregon or Utah or any other team on this list because, the Pac-12 is obviously a hard one to predict every single year. But I think Washington definitely has a chance to go undefeated and maybe be a playoff contender. You never know, just because of the experience they have coming back. But I only give them about a 15% chance to do that in 2023. So that's my number 7 team. Number 6 is Florida State. I think people were kind of expecting the Seminoles here to be on this list, and they are. They're not in the top 5 or maybe a top 4 list, though. I think they have a 20% chance to go undefeated, in my opinion. This is a team that's coming off a 10-3 season last year, but it's not really about this. It's not really about last season anymore. It's about this season. I mean, this team's got a lot of production coming back. Jordan Travis coming back, a Heisman contender. I think people are kind of, sleep on this Florida State team a little bit, but I think a lot of hype is coming into the Seminoles. People are kind of overrating them. I had them overrated in my top 10 overrated lists, last week or like a couple weeks ago. I just think with all the hype coming in, they were going to be a little bit overrated. But I think this is going to be a good Florida State team, well enough to maybe go undefeated. But according to my percentage, I only give them about 20% chance to go undefeated in 2023. That's my number 6 team. Moving on to number 5, it's Alabama. Alabama with a 25% chance to go undefeated, in my opinion. I don't think Alabama's going to go undefeated, though, this season. It's going to be really hard for them because they have to run through the SEC West and perhaps, maybe potentially play an SEC championship game against Georgia. And they do have a tough road game against Texas A&M on the schedule in the regular season. Like I've been saying, that's probably one of the toughest, road games on the schedule for Alabama heading into 2023 because they do get LSU at home and they also get Ole Miss at home. That's the good news there. But, they also have to play Texas in the non-conference, and that's what makes the schedule a lot tougher for this Alabama team. It was a very up-and-down season last year. They went 11-2, and I did predict Alabama to go undefeated last year. I may do that again, but, I think with that Texas A&M game, it's going to be hard to tell if Alabama is going to go undefeated or not. But there's a good chance they can go 11-1. If this was a team, that was predicted to go 11-1, they would definitely have a 50% chance to go 11-1, but as of right now, they only have a 25% chance to go undefeated in my percentage, so that's my number 5 team. It's Alabama. Number 4 is Ohio State. Ohio State, I think, has a 30% chance to go undefeated. This team made the college football playoff last year. They went 11-2 overall, but they did lose to Michigan last year. I think that's what makes Ohio State a little bit up and down coming into this season. They've lost to Michigan now in the last couple years. They also lost C.J. Stroud. He's now heading to the NFL. Ohio State's going to be a really lot different on that offensive side of the ball. If they can get good quarterback play, I think the Buckeyes will be a good team, but it just comes down to, that quarterback position, and also if the defense can make their stops, it's going to be a really good season for Ohio State. But as of right now, their percentage for me is about a 30% chance to go undefeated. They've gone undefeated sometime, in the past, but, it's just been a long time since they've gone undefeated, in my opinion. In 2023, though, I think they have a 30% chance to go undefeated, according to my percentage here in this top 10 countdown. So that's my number 4 team. Let's go to the top 3 now. These are the best teams that I think have the best shot to go undefeated this season. These top 3 teams I think are going to be really hard to predict against, but I think they have a really good shot to go undefeated. We'll start with number 3, and that's USC. USC, I think, has a 40% chance to go undefeated in 2023. Yes, they went 11-3 last year, lost their 2 games in the Pac-12 championship, and then obviously lost in the Cotton Bowl. But this team still has really big talent. They have a talented offense. They have a talented quarterback in Caleb Williams, the defending Heisman Trophy winner. Lincoln Riley knows what the offense is capable of doing, but I think the biggest weakness for USC is that defense. The defense is going to have to really get going, and if they can get good defensive play, I think USC is going to be a really dangerous team, and that's how they end up here at number 3 on this countdown. But, last year I just did not expect this team to win more than 10 games. I only had them winning maybe about 9 in the regular season, but also 10 games, maybe if you count as a bowl game, but yeah, USC, I think, is a playoff contender heading into 2023, but the Pac-12 is obviously going to be a tough conference, to play in every single year because that Pac-12 is always crazy, and, USC could probably lose a game or two on that schedule, but as of right now, in my percentage, I think they have a 40% chance to go undefeated in 2023. That's my number 3 team. Moving on to number 2 is Michigan. Michigan with a 45% chance to go undefeated. They went 13-1 last year, 12-0 in the regular season, winning the Big Ten championship. This team now has won the Big Ten title now for the last couple years. This Michigan program is getting a lot better. They're starting to compete with Ohio State. And that's been the best thing about Michigan in the last couple years. They've been able to beat Ohio State and go to the college football playoff for 2 years in a row. It could be 3 years in a row now, but usually when they get to that playoff, they really try to choke in the semifinal, and but it's not based off of the playoff appearance. It's based off if they can go undefeated in the regular season. But their percentage is really high for me at 45% to go undefeated in 2023 because they do play Ohio State at home, and that's the good news about that schedule for Michigan. They could beat Ohio State 3 years in a row. How would that feel for the Michigan fans? I think it would be feeling pretty good for Michigan if I was a Michigan fan, but for Michigan, they have a 45% chance to go undefeated in 2023 in my percentage. And the number 1 team, you're probably going to know this one. You may be surprised by it, but maybe not surprised by it. It's going to be Georgia here at number 1. They have a 50-50 chance to go undefeated, in my opinion, in 2023. They went 15-0 last year, so they did go undefeated, and that's how they ended up here at number 1. They've won back-to-back national championships, and obviously they're the favorites to win it again in 2023. And could it be a three-peat? It would be really crazy if Georgia did a three-peat in 2024 if they win the national championship. This Georgia team has kind of taken over the SEC conference. It used to be Alabama that was the dominant program, but ever since Kirby Smart got in here, he's been just changing this Georgia program around. They've recruited well, and they got talent on both sides of the ball. Yes, they're going to have to replace Stetson Bennett, but they still got talent on both sides of the ball, and that's how Georgia is going to end up here at number 1. And again, they went 15-0 last year, and the percentage for me is a 50-50 chance they go undefeated. It could be a lot higher than that. It could be about 55% or maybe 60% perhaps, but definitely Georgia's toughest game on the schedule will be Tennessee on the road in Knoxville. That will probably be their toughest game, but really I don't see Georgia losing a regular season game as of right now in 2023. But those are my top 10 teams that have a chance to go, a potential chance to go undefeated in 2023. Let me guys know what you think about this list. What do you think? What other team do you think will go undefeated in 2023? And stay tuned here for more sports content on the Lucas Ross Sports Channel.